This is not only for looks, it's for longevity.
Yeah, Rod works out, obviously. If you hang around with him long enough, you'll probably be working out too.
And I heard this loud pop kind of make you say, ooh, I should probably stop moving for a second.
People, I feel like, just pull it out of their back pocket and be like, oh, I'm having a donut for breakfast today. Moderation, Allie.
People can see that. I mean, I'm sure you've seen those people who are just so into themselves and they're just so vibrant because they're free. They're free to be who they are.
Hello there, everyone. Welcome to the Pre-Diet Podcast. I am your host, Allie Virtue. I am also a functional medicine nutritionist and the owner of Parkside Nutrition. This podcast is all about showing you the rules and giving you the tools to this whole thing called healthy living. Or you could say becoming a healthier person. This is not just for you, but this is for your loved ones. We really want to help you create sustainable change and sustainable healthy habits for the long term. And hopefully before you feel the need to start another random diet on Monday. I am so excited for this episode. We are welcoming Rod Stanley to the show, and he is an absolute wealth of knowledge. He is a veteran, he is a personal trainer, a corrective exercise specialist, and more than anything, a just lifelong health and fitness enthusiast. His passion for this is absolutely unmatched, as is his just passion for people. He truly wants to help in the most genuine way that is instantly obvious, and I had so many great takeaways from this. He just really wants to help people in such a holistic way. And I mean holistic in the sense of the whole person, every aspect of them, so they can really achieve their potential as far as creating a healthy lifestyle for themselves. He talks about his ritual framework, starts with reboot and it goes down the whole acronym. But honestly, I mean, it's instantly memorable. I learned so much from him. So without any further ado, let's dive into the conversation. Welcome to the show, Rod Stanley. I am so excited you were able to sit down and have this conversation. I am so excited to pick your brain on everything health, fitness. You are definitely a wealth of knowledge. We know each other through some local Salem Chamber events. We've done a couple wellness events with local practitioners. So welcome and thanks so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here too, and hopefully I'll give you some things to pick at before I pick
Absolutely. Absolutely. So
Yeah.
you are a personal trainer, vast, many, many years of experience. You're a veteran, former bodybuilder or still kind of bodybuilding. What else do
I'd like to think I still bodybuild, but certainly
thought
former. I haven't competed
okay.
since I was 30. Yeah. So it's been a while.
Well, I thought you had mentioned at one point of like, well, maybe I'll do another show or something like that. So I didn't want to say former unless, you were saying you have that approval.
Sure.
But what else do we need to know about you to really know Rod Stanley? I mean, we have our credentials and our professions, but like, how would you introduce yourself to someone who has no idea what you do?
I would just say as someone who's passionate about fitness, I got into fitness really by accident. And it's just been a love story in a sense of just following my passion, following my heart, which is just working out. And after a couple of years of doing that, I found out that I could really help people change their lives through working out, something that I was passionate about. My dad tried to get me into working out when I was a kid, but who wanted to listen to their dad when they're 15, 16 years old? So I just kind of ignored it. But later on in life, I just really fell in love with working out. And today it's just about giving back and sharing the knowledge that I've had through the years of experience of seeing transformation through working out and what it can do for not only the people I've worked with, but the people who they are close to as well. So I'm just passionate about anything movement. I've studied, as Ali mentioned, I was a bodybuilder. I would have never thought that I'd ever be into Tai Chi and yoga and those types of things. So I've become a Tai Chi instructor. I really love mind body fitness. So just a whole host of things, just someone who's really passionate about giving back through the lens of health and fitness.
What else did you say? Because you also work with clients on like gait and balance. Was it corrective exercise specialist? Is that the term you
Yes.
prefer? Yeah. How is that different than potentially the average personal trainer that people might interact with?
So corrective exercise specialist is unique in that what I do with it is I bring clients in and we go through a series of different mobility strategies. So we're looking at the entire kinetic chain. We'll start with the ankle, the knee, the hip, shoulder, and I'll do things to test their range of motion, to find out where muscles may be tight, which ones may be overactive. And from there, we develop what's called a corrective exercise plan. And this follows a continuum of first we do things like foam rolling, self myofascial release to get those muscles that are overactive to cool down a bit. And then we do some stretching protocols for those. And once we've gotten those muscles to calm down, we find those muscles that are underactive and we activate those to get those to fire up again. And then we integrate that into more of a functional movement pattern so that we can, once we improve that range of motion, we want to build some strength around that new range of motion that we created. And then from there, we go into what's considered more of a traditional personal training program. So corrective exercise can be used in conjunction with personal training. And it's kind of that precursor to really get to the root cause of what may be causing someone issues when it comes to their movement.
Awesome. So that sounds like, I mean, I'm guessing everybody could probably benefit from that. Even someone who's super active, runs miles and everything. Like we probably all have those little imbalances. But that sounds like perfect, especially for people that are maybe nervous to get started in the gym or thinking that like a personal trainer is just going to absolutely destroy them, in the first session. And
And we
instead of like,
will. No,
yeah, we will. Absolutely. But it sounds pretty perfect for someone who might be kind of nervous of like, oh, I have bad knees or I have this. And like, they might be kind of leaning towards the spectrum of like, I can't work out, or it might not be safe, or they're nervous to go into the gym for the first time, but this could be a great kind of on ramp into fitness. So they know that they're safe and they'll progress from there. Is that right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's a great on ramp. In my own personal story, I can remember being a young trainer at the age of 22, 23 years old. And at this time, I was training people who are my age now, which is I'm 46. And they would tell me, you just wait. So when 40 came around, it hit me pretty hard. I was dealing with knee pain, back pain. I had a torn hip labrum. And it was through this corrective exercise concept that I was able to slowly rebuild my body back and regain that strength. So, what a lot of my clients find with corrective exercise is that it's a really gentle approach into exercise, like you mentioned, and
Mhm.
a lot of them find it very similar to physical therapy in that we're working on maybe just how to move their ankle for a bit, or just working on the muscles around the hip. So it's really great for all ages, and I'm really excited to work with people in that way. Yeah.
Absolutely. That's awesome. That sounds like really what a lot of people need. I feel like there is that gap between like people don't want to do classes or they don't really have the structure to just walk in the gym or the confidence to just walk in the gym and start a program. And I think so many people are nervous of getting hurt. And that's valid. Also, I feel like if you're an athlete or anybody with a body who's moving in life, like injuries are a little bit, potentially like I can fall, and slip and things like that. We need to be strong to prevent those things as well. But you mentioned an injury. How did that kind of play a role in your fitness journey? Did that really set you back as far as like what you were previously, physically capable of? Can you talk a little bit more about that experience?
Yeah, I mean, this injury happened when I was at the gym just doing my normal workout, and I happened to do what we call a lateral split squat, where you're doing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you're familiar with that exercise. So I was doing
Mhm.
those, and I heard this loud pop, and it's those kind that make you say, "Ooh, I should probably stop moving for a second." And it took maybe about a year or so before I realized what was going on, but it was a malleolabral tear in my hip, and it got to the point where I was walking up the stairs and I could feel my femur just kind of moving in and out of the socket. And I spent a lot of time, looking to get different imaging on it to figure out what was going on. And in the midst of that, I've always had knee issues since I was in the military. I had just sprained my ankle because I thought I could hang with my son in basketball on the court, and I tried to play defense on him, and I rolled my ankle, so my entire left side of my body was just really messed up at this point. And every time I went to the gym, it felt like something else was going to break. So it really forced me to slow down and rebuild those muscles around the hip, around the ankle and the knee so that I could get back to lifting like I used to. And that is also when I discovered different modalities like yoga and breath work and things like that to really bring some mind body fitness and more awareness to what I was doing with my own body. Being a former Marine, pain is weakness leaving the body, as we all said. So that's not true, by the way. Pain is not weakness leaving the body. It's something might actually be going on. So it just gave me the opportunity to slow down and really rebuild my body back from the ground up. And that's, from my own personal experience and seeing how well this modality works with my clients is really why I'm passionate about doing that.
Absolutely. You said, what age did you kind of get into fitness? You said at 15, not really into it when your dad was necessarily pushing it. Was that through the military? When did you kind of discover that was actually a passion for you?
Well, in the military, of course, I went to boot camp at Paris Island, and I wasn't really into working out at this point. They made us work out. I had to get into it, so we had to be in shape. But it wasn't until a couple of years later where I had a mild back injury, nothing really serious, but I had to take some time off, and I got into working out from a buddy of mine who he was a little bit older. He had been working out, and he put me on his regimen of eating lots of bread and drinking lots of beer to put on extra size. So I
Solid,
adopted that
solid
yeah,
strategy.
solid strategy, right? It worked. I put on
Yeah.
weight really quickly. But I just found out that, what my dad was telling me all along is that I had the genetics to, put on a lot of muscle and be strong and maybe be a bodybuilder because he was really into it. And that's where it happened for me. I saw the results I was experiencing, and I just kept going and just haven't stopped since then. That was at age 18 and a half, 19 years old. So I'm now 46 and just still going, still loving it, having fun with it.
Amazing. Did you go straight into personal training or did you have any other health related jobs before kind of diving full time into personal training?
I did not, I like again, it's been a love story for me. I fell in love with working out, and as I was getting ready to get out of the military, in San Diego, California, I happened to go to 24 Hour Fitness, where the fitness manager there was a former Marine, and he was recruiting all Marines to be trainers, which, that's a perfect strategy, right?
Yeah.
Recruit young Marines to be personal trainers. And he asked me if I wanted to be a trainer. I had no idea that I had to learn things. And I just said sure. I didn't know what they paid, what they made for a living, how it worked. I just thought, yeah, I could teach people how to work out. And from there, I started getting more certifications because if I wanted to make more money with 24 Hour Fitness, then you had to get more certifications. And I realized, man, this is a real profession. I really have to, learn biomechanics and a little bit about nutrition and what it really took to not just work on myself, but to help others. And I've always been someone who liked to learn new things, and it really appealed to my left brain to be able to learn something in a certification and then go into my lab, which was the gym at this time, and just apply it to myself, apply it to my clients. And I've always just been hungry for learning more things, and it's from that just desire to learn more and be able to help more people that's kept me going all these years.
Absolutely. Always finding, I mean, the more I learn, the more I realize I don't know. So it's
Yes,
fascinating what you find interesting now versus like in school, I probably learned something like
sure.
10 times. And then, on the 11th, I was like, oh, that's actually pretty interesting. I think I'll commit that to memory and learn it for the last time. But
Right.
is that kind of where you got into bodybuilding? It was just like another level of fitness. And how did that kind of interest come up?
At the second gym I worked at, which was in Oceanside, California, there was this trainer there. His name was Ivan, and he was getting ready to do a bodybuilding show. And by then I was, 2 or 3 years in. I thought I was looking pretty good. And he showed me his abs. And I was so fascinated with how thin his skin was. And, he could just rub his skin and you could see the abs underneath. I say, man, I got to get my body like that. That is crazy. And that's really what it all took for me to get interested in bodybuilding. Like I just wanted to look like that because I was so impressed with what he had done and the discipline that he showed. And but it wasn't for probably another 5 years or so before I competed. So I actually waited about. I started working out at 18. I didn't do my first show until I was 27. So it took a while. Probably could have done it earlier, but I wanted to make sure I was ready because I didn't want to just compete. I wanted to win, just the competitive
Really?
side of me. So I waited, and my dad was into bodybuilding. I used to watch Lee Haney growing up, and who was I think 6-time Mr. Olympia. So yeah, and I just fell in love with that sport, and I had the genetics for it, and I just went for it. Just wanted to
That's
be on the
awesome.
stage and make my body look like that.
That's
Yeah.
so cool. What were some of the things that you learned taking it from like I just want to be a healthy-ish person, look good, be fit to like that next level of like bodybuilding?
it was actually the reverse.
Oh.
I got into bodybuilding and the aesthetics of fitness first.
Hmm. Hmm.
Even though I learned a little bit about, helping other people and I wanted to truly help them. But for me personally, it was about, how strong could I get? How good could I make my body look? And it took a while for me to switch over to the mentality of really helping and getting into the health side of fitness. It wasn't until I met a gentleman named Dr. Jeffrey Life, who's one of I would say, people who pioneered age management medicine and hormone replacement therapy. This was in about 2007 or 8 when I met him. And he told me, Rod, it's not just about looks, it's about health. And he was he was getting ready to turn 70 when I met him. And of course, he was a physician and he wanted to be able to bench press 100-pound dumbbells to kind of help his business. He wanted to do that on camera when he turned 70, but he had his own age management medicine practice. And it was, just kind of being taken under his wing and working as a nutrition exercise counselor where I was really able to truly see the impact that being a trainer could really have on someone's health. And working with him, I was able to, start coaching people on their laboratory values and decreasing their risk for disease. I was able to see how hormone replacement therapy and VO2 max was important for reducing all-cause mortality and those types of things. And that really fascinated me even more to dive deeper into the health side of fitness. So it actually was reversed for me, and I've been on that health side of it ever since. Yeah, ever since.
That's fascinating. Yeah. So the reverse, are there, I guess, like takeaways? Oh, I guess what are the kind of top things that from your fitness and nutrition health journey that have like, do you have like three top things that really kind of keep you healthy as far as like nutrition, fitness, kind of like the bullet points of like, these are the pillars that like I feel like, people can really achieve long-term health with those kind of main foundational, commonalities, whether it's habits or kind of mantras that you think of, but what are those pillars for somebody who's getting started?
Sure. I mean, one of the biggest pillars is consistency. It's so difficult to stay on track sometimes for a lot of people. I found over the years, a lot of my clients, as I mentioned, they said, wait till you turn 40 when life gets busy and you have kids and maybe you have a business and you have all these different demands. So consistency has been the key to always keep the end goal in mind, which is health and longevity, and let that steer your actions to remain consistent no matter what. So even if if it doesn't look perfect, where, for example, you plan to work out 5 days a week, and life is life sometimes, you're just gonna miss, and that happens. Just get back on track because know this is a long game, it's a marathon, and as long as you continue to show up for yourself, don't completely abandon what you have in mind, which is staying healthy. If you miss one day, so consistency has been huge. Like I said, I've been working out, 3, 4, 5 days a week since 18. And it's just knowing that this is not only for looks, it's for longevity and feeling better. Also, knowing that it's an individual journey, that's important because oftentimes you can get pulled into different fads or what's fashionable at the time. But this is an individual journey, and what you have to do to stay healthy and fit for yourself may not look anything else like what someone else is doing. Even in my own life, it doesn't look the same as it did 5, 10, 15 years ago, because the reality is I'm different. I'm not, I have, we joke a lot about at work about every day there's a new ache somewhere. I don't know where it came from. It just shows up. And
Yeah.
just like in life, you have to find a way to work around those things, and that necessitates an individual plan, which is why I think corrective exercise really plays into it because it allows me to help steer someone into a plan that's going to really work for them. And I think that's super important just to realize that you're an individual. Um, what else is there? And yeah, and when it comes to nutrition, oftentimes find people who want to go all or nothing, and that can
Yeah.
be detrimental, like all or nothing. I Being a former bodybuilder who was obsessed with how he looked, it took a while
Mhm.
for me to just not stress out so much about the macros and hitting those
Hmm.
numbers, and just realize that if I'm eating healthy foods and putting those in my body the majority of the time, that's really what it's about. Just finding the balance between enjoyment, life, fun, health, fitness. Life is really all about balance and finding the balance between what makes you feel good, feel healthy, as well as having fun so that you can experience life, because we should have fun with life, food, and everything. So it's just that finding the balance.
Absolutely. It's so funny. And I don't think maybe it's because it's not sexy enough to be like on a billboard, but like just being moderate about things. But consistency is really hard. And I think because consistency is hard, it's hard to find like what is actually moderation. Because people, I feel like, just pull it out of their back pocket and be like, oh, I'm having a donut for breakfast today. Moderation, Allie. It's really important. And it's like, yeah, but like, what are you having for breakfast the other days of the week? Is this truly
Yeah.
moderation or do you skip breakfast the rest of the week? Like, I don't know if that's really moderation, guys. But that's such a great point, too, of like staying in your own lane as far as like being an individual because I don't know. I mean, I'm relatively new in the industry in the sense of like I'm 34, been practicing almost 10 years, but still like the fads that come up, I probably never would have guessed when I was in school for this stuff that like carnivore diet would be as popular as it is or just
Right.
like veganism would be renamed as plant-based because I'm like I feel like I'm plant-based. I eat a lot of vegetables, but I definitely have like some animal products too. And so it's just wild kind of the marketing of it, just how things are proposed and it's just wild. Like I'm kind of excited to see what the next 10 years brings because like I don't think I could have predicted the last, the climate that we're in as far as like nutrition information and stuff. I would never have guessed it is what it's like today versus, years ago, but consistency, stick to yourself as like an individual, stick to what works well for you. I think that's great too because it builds a lot of awareness versus people looking around the office of like what else are people doing for their health versus like what worked for you. You had a great time when you just went to the gym 3 days a week, got out for a walk, stopped before you were full, just basic things. But I think that is so helpful to just reiterate and reiterate and reiterate because when I was looking on your website before this, kind of doing some research, one of the things that stuck out to me was very practical strategies and no nonsense approach to things, and I appreciate that so much of just cutting to the stuff that like really matters. What would you say matters most to you? I mean, we talked about those pillars, but what are some details that matter the most to you, and what are some details that you wish people would just like, don't worry about that. Like head down, let's work on this stuff that really matters. What are some of those details that you think people could probably, not worry about so much when it comes to health and fitness?
Things I could not worry about. Well, I'll take it from this angle. I've always been fascinated with finding a common thread amongst certain things in order to distill it into a place where people can actually use it. And what I mean by that is, for example, with nutrition, the fads come and go, but the human biology hasn't changed that much in the last 10 years, maybe
Mm-hmm.
15, 20, 100 years. And things that we know that are true that is that we need fruits and vegetables, probably in a lot of variety and a lot of color. So if we can get someone to just stick with that very simple principle, that cuts out a lot of the noise because that probably won't change no matter what fad diet comes in or out. When it comes to protein, we know that there are certain sources that are going to be best for us: fish, lean cuts of meat, uh, and those types of things. And if we could just stick with those, that's going to stick around, and that helps simplify it quite a bit for people where they don't have to second guess, because there's a common thread amongst most of the diets that I've seen come in and out. Whether it's um, be plant based or Mediterranean, so on and so forth. Eat a lot of variety of things, don't overeat. Drink lots of water. If you're going to have alcohol, do it in moderation. Get some healthy fatty acids in. Eat some nuts, seeds, and plant based things. And everything else is just kind of periphery things that don't really matter a whole lot, because we know that the human biology is going to thrive well for those. And lastly, just focusing on, as an individual, are you really even absorbing those things that you're taking in? And if you can stick with those simple concepts, then we could work at things like, are you able to absorb those nutrients that you're taking in? And that can kind of mitigate all of the noise around all of the different supplements that are going on, because I think there's a lot of noise in that space as well. We know if we cover a lot of our bases with nutrition, eating a lot of variety of plants, healthy, lean cuts of meat, chicken, seeds, nuts, those things, then we can minimize how many extra supplements we need to implement in our diet, especially if we're absorbing those nutrients really well and we're getting a well-rounded diet. So I just kind of look at it from that standpoint, and what things remain the same over the decades, and then what things are going to be beneficial for you on an individual level to maximize your benefit from those things. I think that answer hopefully that answered your question.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, kind of like we have to have the foundation. We have to pick out the layout of the house or the foundation of the house before we pick like the
Sure.
paint color, right? Like that's like
Yeah.
so far down the line. Like we got to have the bones, the bones of
Yeah.
the house that we're going to build before we get, start picking out the curtains and things like that. Because it's like, yeah, curtains don't really, how much value do curtains give you in your house versus like, I need a safe, warm, solid house, right? That's
Yeah.
kind
That's right.
of the basics really, really apply. And to your point back to consistency, I think it's so hard to remain consistent that sometimes we don't really get a sense of like, or we don't get a chance to almost build the awareness of like, oh, I did this thing for like 3 months and that actually worked really well. Cause I think 3 months, it goes by like that, but a lot of people have a hard time even staying with something in moderation as
Sure.
well, to bring that word back in. Cause I don't know if we've probably all heard clients say this before of like, oh, I'm on a 20-day streak of like going to the gym every day. And they're really happy and proud of it. And I'm like, I'm happy for you. And they're like, yeah, I think my goal is going to be, 60 days or whatever, kind of day that sounds really cool to remain consistent with or create a streak. And I'm like, that's fantastic. I love that. But what happens if we miss a day? Do you have a plan for that? Like, where's your threshold of like, okay, time to get back to it? Because I see this as a game of like, I just can't quit. Like,
Yes.
you know, there's no, because like how many workouts have you done the last, since you're 18? Nobody knows. Thousands and thousands. But like
Yeah.
the game is just to not quit, even if you had to take a week off from vacation or injury or sickness or whatever. Like those things aren't really worth even counting versus like, oh, I'm just not quitting. Like this is life.
Sure, absolutely. It is about that, and one of the things I've been working on lately is a framework called the Ritual Framework, and it starts
Mm,
with the first thing being reboot, because
mm,
oftentimes people try to implement new things, but they still have the same old story going on, and it's really about
mm.
shifting that story that you have with yourself to be someone and start acting from the concept of the person who you want to be, and that could be this new person, or this new version of me is someone who works out consistently, or this
Yeah.
new person I want to be is someone who eats fruits and vegetables, and allow that to start to steer the actions that you take, because it's really about identifying as this new person and then staying with that. People know me because they know Rod works out, and that's just what Rod has been doing, and that will never change because that's how I identify myself. So really working with people and clients to identify with that person that they really want to be, and then allow those actions to follow suit. I think that's so important to really frame that, rather than just being someone who's going to try something for 20 days or 30 days and see how it works. What works is just doing this because you value yourself, you value who you are, you value working out, you value eating well because it makes you feel good, or those reasons that are underpinning why we say we want to lose workout. Those stories sound very different on the outside, like, I want to lose weight, or I want to be faster, or those types of things, but really it's about connecting with who we are, that person that we see on the inside, and bringing that person to light. And that person wants to feel good about themselves. They want to be happy, and all of these different things that really drive our actions. So if we can, and I try to work with my clients on that type of aspect of why they're doing this, and what it really means for the long term.
Absolutely. I think you said some of them there, but what are some questions or how do you prompt that kind of call it deeper work or mindset work with a client who's like, hey, Rod, I just want to lose like 20 pounds, like summer's coming up. But you're like, that's cool. But we want to be a person, we want to become a person that works out all the time. How do you kind of start that conversation to get to that deeper why? What are some of those questions that you ask them?
There's a lot of different ways to approach it, because everyone's a little bit different. I have someone I'm working with now. who's struggled a lot of their adult life, with wanting to lose weight, but finding times where they would just skip meals in order to do it. Or they'd feel like, oh, I gained 2 pounds, so I'm just not going to eat for 2 or 3 days. But the conversation that we have would be, I want to live healthier. I want to be a healthy person. So I would start the conversation from there. Well, tell me more about this healthy person that you want to be. What are they doing? How would they talk to themselves about the scale? And we just start having a conversation around those types of concepts of, what does that really mean to you when you say you want to be healthy? Because everyone has a little bit of a different picture in their mind about what that means. And once we can kind of identify what they mean with that, then we can slowly start making actionable steps towards that. Okay, well, this person wants to work out because they value how they feel when they work out. And this was one of the things she told me is that I really feel good when I work out. So let's stay with that. If you feel good, it's not just about the scale, it helps you feel good. And another thing she was struggling with was sleep, and she told me that she was so tired one day that she felt like she was going to cry because she was so tired. And it really hit me in the heart, really, to have that conversation with her. But I said, that is a sign that your body's telling you
Mhm.
that you need some sleep. So how can we get it? And it was, TikTok was one of the things that was keeping her up. So we just kind of talked about, what's the priority here? Your body's crying out to you literally to get some sleep. So let's make some actionable steps to decrease that. And she decided to get rid of it. So it just really unfolds in a real time concept of, in a real time way of what people are experiencing. Again, getting back to that individual level, because everyone has different things to work on. And we just have really open conversations where it's non-judgmental about what they're experiencing and how we can take one step forward, getting closer to where they actually want to be. And generally it's a lot of times it's just feeling good about themselves and what they want to do, and that type of thing. So
Absolutely. That's such a great point. I was talking to a client recently and been with me for years, and but I'm so proud more than any like weight loss goal or health marker that's improved. Like that stuff's great, but like just to hear her talk about health and fitness, and she has I think three daughters kind of in their 20s, and how she's changing how she talks to them. And she brought up a friend recently who said they were talking about their health goals and things, and she's like, oh, the other friend was like, well, I just don't want to be as fat as my sister when we go back to like meet up, for a family reunion or something
sure.
like that. And she's like, hey, stop being mean to my friend. And her friend was like, what? And she's like, you're being mean to yourself. Stop doing that. Be nice to my friend. Because we're always nicer to other people. But I just appreciate her so much because I feel like she's spreading so much positivity as far as
Mhm.
like how she talks to other people. Like it's very common to see people you haven't seen in a while, like, oh my gosh, you've lost weight. Like she never does that anymore. And when she compliments her daughters, she's like, you guys are looking really strong lately. Like you're just
Nice.
looking like really strong women. And I just love that, because like, yeah, when you start to kind of what you alluded to of like how you're thinking differently, how people are speaking about themselves, like all of that trickles down. And I absolutely love the notion or the methodology of like you're creating a new person, and because it's a complete
Sure.
transformation versus someone who just like drags their butt to the gym a couple more times. Like that doesn't sound as solid as versus like, yeah, Rod works out. Obviously, if you hang around with him long enough, you'll probably be working out too, because he's got to go work out multiple times a week. So I love that.
For
You
sure.
alluded to, you said reboot was the first part of like ritual. Does that stand for something? Is that kind of like a framework you're developing?
Yeah, it's a framework that I'm developing. I realized that over time I've helped people create their own rituals,
Mhm.
and they're very individual, and I just didn't have a name for it. And the word ritual came to me actually during this time I mentioned earlier, when my body was falling apart and I had to develop my own rituals of getting back on my feet. And that word just kept playing back in my head. And I decided to name my company that. And now I'm developing this framework, but it is a framework through lived experience that I've had, through the clients' experience that they've had throughout the years as they transformed, and just putting some words around what that means. So, reboot is the first one, which is kind of reorienting the mind that, hey, this is about a real life transformation, not just adopting workouts. How can we make this last? And doing it from a place where you're recognizing where you want to be in the long term. There's a lot of different philosophies on beginning with the end in mind, that type of concept. So reboot is getting you in that type of orientation. The I is intention or intensity. And I wasn't really sure which word I would use, but I decided to just use both of them. So it's going to be I
Yeah.
squared, intention
Yeah.
and intensity. Yeah. And when you have
Yeah.
a great intention and you bring great intensity behind it, that's just going to fuel it. So everyone has, they're intending to do something great and change their life here with health and fitness. And these concepts can be applied to any part of life. So that's intention, intensity. The T is time. Oftentimes, we start new things, but we don't see them through. And just knowing that transformation will take time, you just have to allow yourself the opportunity to transform. And that takes great self talk, as you mentioned, reframing how you see yourself and others, reframing your relationship with food. And all these things take time to transform. This is not a quick fix. So give yourself the time to do it. And then what is the next letter? Oh, union. I'm
Good
a
one.
mind body fitness specialist. Union. Yeah,
Yeah.
because we
Yeah.
have these
Good one.
thoughts going on,
Hmm.
but oftentimes it's not aligned with our actions and our heart and our true intentions. So becoming healthy is about being whole. And when you can bring that wholeness, the whole part of yourself, the mind, body, spirit, all together, working in unison, you can quiet the noise within the mind and really create something new. So, union, bringing everything together, thoughts, actions, and intentions. And the A is aspiration. I've noticed over the years that a lot of people, they won't make a connection. They'll do things, but when they bring it into a larger light of maybe as leaving a legacy, or maybe as I'm going to get healthy for my child, or maybe I'm going to do some act of selfless service, it's another level of energy that they bring to it. When I was working on the balancing gait study with the senior citizens, helping them in their home, they would do the balancing gait study, but the ones who um, really took it seriously, that they were doing this for science so that it could help others, they were really bought in, like, man, this is going to
Yeah.
really help something. So having those aspirations that are bigger than yourself sometimes can really fuel our actions even further. And the last one is light. And I like this word light because there's so many songs you can think of, let your light shine, or but when you really adopt this lifestyle, you become a beacon for change for
Yeah.
others. And it really is contagious, and it can really help others fuel change in their life as well. So I can't tell you how many times I've trained other people and they become trainers, or I've trained them and then they go and tell the story to their spouse or their friend. And I'm sure
Hmm.
you've experienced this as well. But you become a light for change and being a healthy inspiration in someone else's life. So that is the ritual framework, and I'm working on putting that into a keynote speech, and building a real framework and coaching around this framework.
Oh my gosh. Rod, that is so good. I wrote it down. I was taking notes over here. But reboot, intention, intensity, time, union, aspiration, light. All of those. I mean, we could probably do a podcast on each letter, to be honest.
Yeah,
But
yeah. I didn't
that
want to
is
take up
so
too much
good.
time, but yeah,
Oh gosh, we'll do a
absolutely.
part two for sure. I just love that in so many ways. Like intention is so big for me because we hear in our industry like a lot of excuses sometimes. I don't even want to say excuses, but like reasons, unexpected reasons why we thought, people think these habits are harder than what they may have anticipated, right? We've heard all the time of like, I know what to do, I just need to do it. Yes, that's the part.
Yes.
The hard part is doing the thing. Knowing is one part of it, but having the intention, that's what I appreciate so much because I feel like a lot of people say like, well, I didn't have time for my full workout so I didn't go, or my favorite workout routine is 90 minutes. I didn't have 90 minutes so I didn't go, and I'm like, I will take 6 minutes of intentional movement. Like it sounds like
Yeah,
it doesn't count, but it does because the intention is there that you took a
absolutely.
step and you did it. And I appreciate that so much. Intensity is great. It speaks to my inner athlete of like, yes, let's do this. Let's like be
That's right.
excited about it. Um, But time, it does take time. I've had that client I mentioned earlier. She's like, I feel like I shouldn't say that I've been working with you for years because people will think that like it doesn't work working with Allie. And I was like, that's not, it's you've been willing to put in the work and keep
That's
working
right.
on this stuff. Because if the end goal is still that important to you, it doesn't matter if it takes like 3 months, 6 or 6 years. Like
It's gonna
you're
take
in
what it
it.
takes.
It's going to take what it takes and you just keep working on it. And I appreciate that she's like signed up for the journey no matter how long it is. And I feel like she's achieved a new level of, I always say, like calmness or like acceptance of the journey, because she's hit a recent low weight. She's like, the coolest part about that was that I didn't care very much. And it's so completely backwards. That's probably been a,
Sure.
a goal that she's been chasing for a while, but she's like, I just loved how like detached I was because my goal is to be healthy. That just happened
Yeah,
because I was doing the things. And
that's
I thought
right.
that was the coolest thing because normally people would be like, I hit it. I can eat all the brownies. Like, I can, relax a little bit. And she's like, no, I still got stuff to work on. And I'm just
That's
like,
right.
more than anything, again, proud of that, like, acceptance of like, yeah, I just do this stuff. That is such
She's
a great
embodying
framework.
that new person. Yeah. But
She is, yeah, and she says it all the time. She's like, what would a healthy, Jane do? Jane would do this. So a healthy Jane would do this. I'm gonna do this type of thing. And so I just appreciate that mentality that she's always working and tweaking, and she can celebrate her wins, but like it's been awesome to see that kind of new level unlocked for her.
yeah, that's
Absolutely.
awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, I mean,
I was
I've noticed. Were you gonna ask something? I
oh
didn't
go,
want to cut you off.
no, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay.
No, you're good.
Yeah, I've noticed that you know how oftentimes people will say people who are overweight or struggling with not they're lazy, and it's never been
Mm-hmm.
laziness because a
Mm-hmm.
lot of the people who I've trained over the years, they're top executives, they're sometimes
Yeah.
celebrities or really um, people who are high achievers. Is they
Mm-hmm.
just don't excel in this area. So it's really what things that they use to excel in those other areas, and let's bring them into this because
Yeah.
they're not excuses. There's the story that they've created around this
Mm-hmm.
themselves, and those stories are very
Mm-hmm.
real. We all have
Mm-hmm.
stories about everything, and that becomes our reality. So it's just
Mm-hmm.
really helping someone to shift their own story to something that's more empowering. So
Yeah.
that's what I see at the real heart of what I do is just helping empower people to use their story so that they can get what they want out of life. Even in health and fitness is just a lens in which I have chosen to do it all of these years, but it really permeates through every facet of life. Yeah,
Absolutely. And I think that's such a good point. It's not laziness. People think like, oh, it's an excuse. I know it. And they'll kind of like leave that out there as a disclaimer of like, I just need to do the things again. But if I always kind of relate things back to like coaching, like, because people are usually very nice if they're like coaching children how to do a sport. Right. And
sure.
so I feel like as an adult, people will just say like, I not capable of doing that, or like, insert whatever kind of excuse that they'll bring up versus it's like I still want to hear those excuses so we can help you reach your potential and not just stop there. Like that's a wall of like this is as good as it gets. Like I don't have time for anything else. It's like let's tell me the story that you said you told yourself, and let's see if we can see any holes in the story or reasons that's not true, because I think because we have an outside perspective, right? We get to hear their
Sure.
lifestyle, the challenges. We also know like quote what a healthy person might do in that scenario that they just have never experienced before. They're like, by the way,
That's
if you
right.
don't have time for like a home cooked lunch or you forgot your lunch, like I would have gone to these options instead of, grabbing a I don't know, cheeseburger from McDonald's or something. Like there's other options. You just haven't seen them yet because
That's
you
right.
haven't lived that lifestyle. But I think that's such a great point. One of my questions that I wrote down was, yeah, do you have any favorite rituals? Because I know that was a pretty cornerstone word for you, hence your business name. But do you have any favorite rituals that people might not expect as far as outside the usual of like, eat veggies, go to the gym type of thing? What's kind of some of your favorites?
Yeah, I mean, I do all kind of things. I don't know if you can see. I have like my little djembes and
Uh,
little bells and things like that back here in the back
mhm,
room. But um, meditation, I do. I do some yoga. Work with yoga and I wouldn't say yoga per se, but using yoga poses to do certain things. I'll use breath work. Um, Sometimes I carry around a bunch of different crystals because I believe they work on resonant frequencies within the body. Um, I use my Sonics vibration machine, which is basically it's a speaker that sends resonant frequencies through the body that resonates with the frequencies in different organs to bring about less inflammation and lymphatic drainage. Um, what else? I even have my little water here with my little crystals in the bottom, that type of thing. So I'm really into resonant frequencies. Um, yeah, a whole host of things. Grounding, since it's a little bit warmer lately, I've been doing more grounding, making an intention to get out and walk outside barefoot, which was a huge no-no when I was a kid, which is crazy. But yeah, put some shoes on. I can hear my mom still yelling it. Put some shoes on when you go outside. So
It's
grounding.
not
Yeah, I'm into a lot of different things because I feel like we're extensions of nature, and the
Mhm.
more we can get to nature, the better we are going to be in terms of improving our health and just our mental state and our connection to others, because we're all really connected in a lot of different ways. So I think that all those things are important.
Absolutely. One of the things that came to mind when you're listing out the letters of ritual, your framework, light for others, I think that is so important. Actually, one of the questions I wrote down was if you could snap your fingers and kind of change a cultural norm that change something that's so normal, very widely accepted, but would help our as a population become healthier. Does anything come to mind? I kind of think of like I posted a reel lately that's done really well of can we change instead of going out for drinks or always going out for food, can we go out for a walk and talk with a friend and just get steps, we get outside, we get away from our technology and stress and we get to connect with a human, right? I wish that was more normalized, not necessarily saying we can't do the other things, but is there anything like that you're like, I just wish this was more normal? Because I think when we work with people, they do become lights and beacons of hope for other people of like,
Sure.
hey, like we can go for a walk, we can go to the gym, like it's totally normal with me, we can make this healthy thing a norm now. But does anything come to mind for you that you'd love to see?
Man, that is a great question. I mean, man, we're
Thanks.
talking about like a global cultural change. Let's see if I can make it happen right here. um, let's see what comes to mind. I think like what I see a lot of, and my son was talking to me about it a couple of weeks ago. This thing called looks maxing. Are you familiar with this?
No, I have no
I know
idea what
you.
this is.
You have this look.
Educate me.
So yeah, I'll educate you. He's
Yeah.
so he's 19, and of course, children his age are very into TikTok. So there's
Mm.
these TikTok trends and these influencers who are doing these things called looks maxing. One of the things is called mewing, where you make these different mewing faces with your mouth to try to get a certain mold and shape to your face. Another one is bone smashing, where they're intentionally hitting themselves in the face to change the bone structure of their face. Um, yeah, I know it's crazy. And the guys, if you don't have a specific type of build, you're deemed as unattractive. So this whole looks maxing thing is to create a very specific look through these mouth things you're doing, through this bone reshaping, through the way that you work out to maximize your look to be more attractive. And if you don't have this look, you're not
Out
attractive,
of luck.
right? I know it's so crazy to me,
Awesome.
but I guess from a bodybuilder, who am I to talk, right? Trying to
Yeah.
trying to get a certain look,
I mean, you didn't hit your
but
face with a dumbbell to build your cheeks up, I guess. So,
I did not
give
go
you a
that
pass.
far. But what I would like to see normalize and bring it back to your question is
Mm.
accepting our own beauty,
Yeah.
because so many different things have made people feel so self-conscious, so unattractive, so not loved, so not acceptable, based on these concepts that are so unattainable. And we see it
Yeah.
so much in the health and fitness industry. Um, and I just wish we could get back to that normalcy. Like for one example I always use is that we as humans recognize the beauty in diversity and things being so different, and even imperfections in nature. Nature's given us 50,000 different color roses or 30 shades of different types of dog breeds, and we all accept that as okay. But when it comes to us, we don't accept that as being okay. And I wish that we could just accept each other for who we are as individuals and allow each person to blossom as the individual that they were meant here to be. So that's what I would say I'd like to change. Just love yourself, love others, accept people for who they are and what they bring to the table, because we're all unique individuals here with the individual unique talent that we're meant to give as a gift, which is part of that light that I would speak of.
Yeah.
Because as you notice, when people really connect with who they are and they get in really good shape, or they achieve those goals, they become a truer version of who they are, and that resonates. People can see that. I mean, I'm sure you've seen those people who are just so into themselves and they're just so vibrant because they're free. They're free to be who they are.
Yeah.
So yeah, so it's just that.
That's beautiful. I can't really think that's a way better answer than I could have possibly imagined. And that, yeah, that's so great. And it ties back to, people kind of beating themselves up again of, I'm just lazy, I'm just this. And it's like, and I listen to that and people, I just think about all of the crazy, awesome things that they're able to do. And like,
Yeah,
people that are phenomenally successful in business, but like they're having trouble with the fitness or the health side of things. But, money is no object to them. They're like, oh, yeah, I know how to make a company successful. Oh, I know how to make sales and all of these things. Or, they're just super handy and like they can fix anything around their house. And it's like, I can't do that. Like you have such cool skills, but those,
it's
I
fair.
see it as so cool because I can't do the things you do like that. And so I think
Yeah,
that's perfect. Of like, if we can just accept for who we are, we're not going to be good at everything. We can't be good at everything. And, work with someone who has, developed in areas you haven't and vice versa. And just, yeah, if we accept ourselves, then we don't need to have any of the guilt associated with it
yeah,
because there's no guilt needed. It's just like we can't possibly be good at everything. And so just like seek out a person that is really passionate, is really good at doing that thing that you're not really good at. And hopefully that kind of rubs off on them. But also, that's the great thing about working with a professional. It's like they don't need to learn, kinesiology or anatomy or anything like that. They just need to go see you and fix their gait and become more balanced and strong overall. And they don't have to learn all that stuff. They can stay what they're good at and keep doing what their superpower is and help more people that way. But that's a
absolutely. Because I feel like this job, this career that you and I have chosen, it helps put more life back into the individual that we work with, and it
mhm.
it it, it makes their job better. It makes them have more joy in life, and all those other arenas. They have more to give back to their family members when
Yes.
they're not so tired, and
Hmm.
they have more energy, and
Hmm.
uh, and those are the stories I really love the most. Like, when you can help someone find it, because I don't give it. I just help them discover it in a way. I always
Yeah.
tell them, like, I didn't do anything. You do the work. I'm just
Hmm.
It's a symbiotic relationship. The more challenging things are for you, it just makes me dive harder to find the answers. And that's why I've done so many different things, because it's about putting more tools in my tool belt to give more people answers to whatever they're experiencing. And I just love that, being able to um, provide help and answers to people when they need it, and so that they can get more out of the life that they're here to live.
Absolutely, I agree, and I think, that's highlighted when we do, like, chamber events or things like that, because I see everybody else's superpower and what they've chosen to do for work, and I think a lot of people, like, in any kind of, I don't know, food setting, I don't know if you get this as well, if someone's like, "Oh, I'm just don't look at my breakfast today," or whatever, they'll make some
All the
kind of food
time.
comment to all the time, right? They're like, "Don't look at this. This doesn't happen all the time." And I was like, "I don't care about that. I'm not here to food shame anybody. I just want you to be healthy and, like, vibrant so you can keep doing the thing that you're really good at, because I can't do that for the community." And I see people just absolutely breaking their backs and like really impacting their health, trying to serve others, which is fantastic. But I was like, I know if you had 10% more energy to give, like this community would get, 20 times the benefit of that. And that's what I, like you said, of like, if we can help people feel better, like they can, continue to do what they're fantastic at. And like we all benefit from it.
That's right.
Absolutely. Awesome, Rod. Well, if people want to connect with you, learn more about your services, how can people find you?
I can be found on my website, which is rodstanley.com. My Instagram is rodstanley.li, lifestyle interventionist, is helping people improve their lifestyle. Also on my YouTube channel, Rod Stanley Live. I don't do a whole lot there. These days, I think I've told you, I accepted a position with the Department of Public Safety and Standards Training at the Police Academy here. So that's got me really busy these days, working as a fitness instructor there. And that's been a
Awesome.
great job, by the way. I really, really love being there. So that's got me really busy. So now I'm kind of in this really kind of a transition phase, moving from so much one-on-one into getting. I want to get out and speak to the community more about this ritual framework that I've
Yeah.
talking about. So I'm slowly transitioning my website and my Instagram and all those things into putting that more on the forefront. I feel like I've I have some wisdom that I've learned over the years that I can impart to people in a larger way. And I think getting out and speaking about that more and doing that type of work along with workshops on the different things that I've done, whether it be, Tai Chi or balance and gait workshops or different things like that, that could help not only individuals, but small corporations or small companies that they want to allow me to come in. So that's what I'd love to start moving towards over as 2026 rolls along. Yeah.
Awesome. 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 That is, we'll leak all of that and we'll watch this space to see what you do next. But I have seen you speak at those types of events, and you're a fantastic presenter, really engaging and get everybody in the audience engaged and moving, literally moving sometimes. So I will definitely be watching out for that. Lastly, what would be your parting words or message for someone who is just getting started in their health or fitness journey? What would your message to them be?
Talking a brand new rookie who's starting out. Let's see, what would I say to
Yeah.
him? um, I would first say, know that this is going to be a journey, and you're getting ready to embark on a lifelong journey, and something that's going to help propel the rest of your life, and it's going to permeate everywhere. So give yourself the opportunity to allow this new person to emerge day by day, little by little. You're going to get better over time. It's never going to seem perfect. You're never going to feel like you have it just right, because I still don't feel like I have it just right to this day. And I'm almost 3 decades in. And that's the beauty of life. You get a little bit better and a little bit wiser and a little bit smarter each day. But never forget that this is a journey. So take the time to enjoy the journey.
Well said. Well said. Ah, I love this. I'm selfishly love that I just get to talk about this stuff. I learn something new from everybody that I talk to. But thank you so much for being here, Rod, and for imparting just some of your wisdom. And I know you have a lot and a lot of experience. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me, Allie. We'll see you next time.
Absolutely. All right, team, that's what I got for you today. Hopefully, you enjoyed that conversation with Rod. I had a blast. I learned so much from him. Make sure before you go, if this really resonated with you or you learned something, please share this episode with your bestie, your family, your fitness buddy. Make sure if you're watching this on YouTube that you like the video, that you are subscribed to the YouTube channel. If you're listening on Spotify or another platform, make sure you follow the show so you don't miss an episode. If you are on Spotify, if you could leave a 5-star review or a comment, all of those things are free and easy ways to help grow the show. I really appreciate you being here and listening all the way to the end. If you want more free resources, make sure you go to parksidenutrition.com/subscribe and get on the free shit Friday email list, and I will deliver free shit, free nutrition resources to your inbox every single Friday. Other than that, have a fantastic day, and I will see you in the next episode.